I'm gonna do a 8 series, and after that I will briefly talk about the build. Yeah. So, I mean, this is my probably the first video I had this whole league where I actually talk. Um, but yeah, this is just gonna be a standard dominating Blow Guardian, with a bit of changes here and there. I think the build is pretty well established by other content creators, like Vikton, um, like Ghazzy, and to some extent K. Um, so a lot of the things I figured out for this build, I figured out by watching their videos. So I suggest that you do that as well. I will talk about a bit more of some of the scaling of dominating blow, especially regard to core conversion, and then yep. Oh shit. Oh, I see. It should be enduring cry. Yes. I actually messed up there just now. If I didn't flask, I think I would have died. Or if I didn't have a uh, savage flask, I would have died. Thanks. Uh, Clouds are closing me in. Yikes. Okay, okay. A last phase, I guess. I'll run up here because that's usually where he goes to. He usually goes for the stairs. Yikes. And that's it. Not a very complex fight. Once you like get, once you freeze him and shit, it's not that tough. Freeze him or chill him like with the skitterbots. So yeah, the fight's pretty straightforward now. I kind of got it nailed down. I did a lot of practice last league because I did a bossing character, so I'm kind of used to his attack patterns and all that, and where the position and move. So hopefully this helps you out a little. When it comes to dominating blow, as mentioned, if you want to learn how to do a league start on it and learn how to do some basic gearing for it, I would suggest you go to Von Vikton's stream, not stream, sorry, YouTube. Go to K's YouTube, go to Ghazzy's YouTube. They have it quite well documented, especially with regard to the impale versions of dominating blow. And once you kind of figured out things from there, I want you to then come back here and then, you know, listen to whatever I have to say. Okay, so I'm gonna briefly run it through a bit of what core conversion does. So with triad grip mesh gloves, and four greens, what this does is it converts fully your minion's physical damage to cold damage, right? Because there's four green sockets, 25% per green socket. That's 25% times four. That's 100%. So essentially, your minions will all be doing cold damage, and you will be scaling cold damage for them, or scaling things that help cold damage for them. How do you get four greens on this? You notice that this is a strength int strength int armor, so it's actually really hard to get four greens. There is a pretty easy method. What you do is you use a bench crafting using some of the recipes you get off Delph. So you go for two socket first. You set it to two sockets. You do two greens, which gets the two at the very top here, green, and then you start adding sockets and removing sockets. So you change it, you do that by changing the sockets. So you go like three sockets, three socket craft, and then if you get a red or blue, then you do a two socket craft to set it back to the two greens, and then you repeat the process until you get three greens, and then you go on to do the four socket craft. So same thing in the four socket craft. You uh, craft it for four sockets. If you get a red or blue, if you get a red or blue, uh, set it back to three, repeat, right? Uh, Set it back to three, repeat again. If you get a red or blue, continue that process until you get a green. On average, you would probably take about, I think, 20 chaos, 25 chaos, so it's not too bad. I would suggest doing that because it's far cheaper than buying it from someone else. Yeah. Second thing as well is if you are doing a core convert, what you really need is you want to scale damage using skitterbots. So skitterbots, you want skitterbots to be linked to bone chill support. It doesn't have to be the alternate quality. Alternate quality just helps out a little, but you can just go like skitterbots with bone chill support and an unbound ailment support, right? These three. If you can't afford the amount, the reservation, you just drop unbound. But I would suggest that you get um, all three if you can. Then you also go hatred and wait, no, you can just normal generosity. So hatred, generosity, and then yeah, the reason why you do this is because hatred generosity has I would say a double dipping on scaling for aura effect. You gain physical damage as extra cold for your minions, and then your minions do more cold damage, right? So you have a two-step more multiplier, which is quite significant when you scale aura effect. You actually don't really scale that much aura effect on this build, and I would explain why. And the reason being is that it's actually very hard to scale aura effect as long as you're not like fully committing to auras. So, and also you don't have access to things like Victorios. So, it's pretty hard to scale aura effect cheaply, with the exception of this one shield. So this thing is called a Wakatuki no Omatwa. Um, it's actually an upgraded version of one chaos item. So the upgrade prophecy costs like 8 chaos. The map to run that upgraded prophecy is like 1 chaos. So this total will cost you maybe about 10 chaos max. Don't pay more for it. And what this does is that it gives you 20% increase effect of non-curse auras from your skill on your minions, right? So you get a 20% increase aura effect. And then you have a 20% increase effect of non-curse auras from your skills. So that's another 20%. Since you've linked generosity to hatred, right? In this case, I've awakened, so it's 44%, but normally it's about 35 or 30. Is it 40? Yeah, about 39 or 40, I think. So you have 39, and then you have total of 40%, so that's 79% increased aura effect on your minions for just this combo alone. and that scales your damage quite significantly with very minimal cost, right? Then along with okay, so let me explain why Skitterbots works pretty well with Bone Chill. So what Skitterbots does is that it applies a chill and a shock effect, right? And normally that chill and shock effect, the base value is about 15%. So shock gives you a 15% damage increase. Like they take more damage, 15% more damage. And then when you have Bone Chill support, which is this, it basically allows you to deal, or rather, they take more cold damage based on the amount of chill effect on the target, right? So since you're doing 15% base, right? Uh, you know, your whatever your skitterbots are affecting, chilling or shocking, takes you know, 15 plus 15, about 30% increased cold damage, right? And then if you scale this ailment effect with unbound ailments, as well as the inherent level bonus on this, which is 20%, if you get the diversion version of this, which is another 10%, and a diversion version of this, which is another 10%, yeah. Um, yeah, you basically do a lot more damage. So that's why you run this. It's a huge damage multiplier. Not everyone knows about this, but yeah. What else? Okay, so when it comes to scaling dominating blow, okay, your gem links kind of follow the ones I have. And it's not too complex. This is pretty straightforward. But dominating blow actually scales very well with levels, gem levels. As you can see, my gem levels on dominating blow is at level 30. Um, and I get this value because I'm using a Skin of the Loyal with +2 socketed duration gems and +2 level of socketed gems. Right, so that's a +4 to your dominating blow. So if you have it corrupted and one level higher, it's 21 plus 4. That's 25. I'm getting the 5 extra levels actually from AM power support. Because your power support, when corrupted, is level 4, right? And then you get the 2 extra levels from the Skin of the Lords or Skin of the Loyal, and it goes to 6. And when it's 6, it means that it gets 5 extra levels. So with that, you actually hit 30 on dominating blow, and I think the increased damage is kind of constant. Like I think 13% more damage per level until it hits 31, and after 31, it's less. Yeah, it's less than 13%. So I mean, this is pretty much one of the easiest ways and the best ways to scale dominating blow damage. There is another way which I think some people use, which is to run another aura called um, Aspect of the Avian, and they use a Sakawal's Nest Chest to get 40% more damage through the double damage buff, and they cycle the buffs, right? Other than that, pretty much straightforward standard gearing for Dominating Blow. You're going to try to max out as many of these Ghazzy Eye Jewels as possible. You want life, you want increased damage if you used the minion skill recently, and you want one of the three things, which is, or one of the four things, which is blind, chance to blind, chance to taunt, added physical damage, attack speed, uh, and that's pretty much about it. Yeah. Uh, yeah. What other jewels am I using? I'm also using a Fortress Covenant Jewel. You have to socket an area where you don't have any notables, and this will give you a 40% increased damage for your minions, as well as extra block chance for spell block and attack block. For the Cluster Jewel, you want to go Call of Slaughter, Feasting Fiends. I have Raise and Pillage there because I find it interesting. I think it's worth exploring, but I don't advise that you go for it. I don't think you'll find it easily. I think if you just go for a double passive, double notable one, it's enough. I've gone Dex here as well because I need Dex on my gear. If you are trying to solve Dex problems, you get them on your rings, or you get them on your amulet. For rings and amulets, pretty straightforward. Just resistances, Dex to get your claw to wear your claw, and life, right? And that's pretty much it. The build's pretty straightforward. When it comes to flask, these two flasks I would say are mandatory. You need an overflowing chalice and a forbidden taste. The forbidden taste is a huge EHP device because basically whenever you take 15% of your health as damage, you recover full life. So this actually keeps me alive in a lot of situations where I would have died. Um, And the reason why I use Overflowing Chalice is I use this to refresh this, right? So Overflowing Chalice with this enchantment, right, gives 147 increased effect, uh, or increased, sorry, charges gained by other flasks during flask effect. So I use this to quickly recharge this in the middle of maps, sometimes during bossing if I can time it properly. I actually need to drop this because I don't really use that much in bosses anymore. Uh, Life Flask, definitely. Panic Divine Life Flask of Staunching is good because we don't have really any solution for bleeds here on our passive 3 and our, you know, we just don't have it. Yeah. I'm still using an Eternal Mana Flask and during Eternal Mana Flask mainly because I don't have a Aurion's -7 craft yet. Once I do, I'll drop this for another utility flask. I actually don't need the chill and freeze anymore because I have a Arctic armor, which makes me immune to freeze, and then I have a boot that boot craft that doesn't allow me to be chilled. No, I cannot be chilled, so yeah. Belt. You always want to go darkness. I mean, this is pretty straightforward for every dominating blow build. I think okay. So one more thing, if you, people probably know this that I have a very weird helm. This is mostly for quality of life. I don't. It's not really mandatory. But what I find is that the double holy relics with the reduced cooldown recovery rate, as long as you're attacking, it procs this Nova as because you're converting everything to cold, they kind of freeze and chill everything, which helps you a lot. Yeah. So that's all. That's pretty much it. When it comes to Guardian, you want this for reduced effect curses, and you want this all the time. This it's not too complex. You go Yugos to max out your curse reduction, and Soul Lunaris because you want to avoid projectiles that have chain, because that is what kills you in maps, right? Because they would hit your minions, chain to you, and you will die. That's really pretty much nothing special about this build. Yeah, but if you have any questions, do let me know, and I'll try to answer them as much as possible. And a peace.